Okay, so our next lesson is going to be linear functions review. So we're going to review some things that we learned in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 about linear functions. So the first part is the slope of a line is a number that describes how steep the line is. The slope of a line can be, and we have 4 options. So if we look at this first one, our first option is positive. Our line has a positive slope if it's going up. And remember, you read your graphs from left to right, just like you read a book. So then this one is an example of a negative slope because from left to right, it is going down. Then we have a zero slope. Okay, so a zero slope will be a horizontal line. And the way I remember this is you can make a Z with that horizontal line. And so to find the equation of your horizontal line, you see, okay, it goes through my y-axis, 1, 2, 3, on number 3. So your equation of this line is y equals 3. Okay, then you have your undefined slope. So your undefined slope looks like this. Okay, I'm able to remember that it is an undefined slope because it makes a U. And so a vertical line has an undefined slope. And the way to find the equation of that line is you see this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Our line goes through 4 on the x-axis. So the equation of our line is x equals 4. All right, so here it says use a ratio rise over run to identify the slope of the following line. So if we look at our graph here, we're going to go ahead and find 2 points on this line. So here is a point, and then we look for another point. Here's another point right here. So we're going to go ahead and count the rise. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the run is 2. This is a positive line because it's going up. So our slope, and remember for slope, we usually identify it by the letter m equals 5 over 2. Okay, we cannot simplify 5 over 2, so it stays like that. All right, finding the slope from points. So here it says use the slope formula to calculate the slope of a line passing through the points negative 2, 3, and 4. I'm sorry about that, but the 8 came out over here. So what we have to do here is in order for us to find the slope, we have to subtract the y values starting with the second point. So my y value here is 8, and my y value here is 3. So we're going to do 8 minus 3. And then on the denominator, okay, we're going to subtract our x value starting with the second point. So this is my x value for my second point. This is my x value for my first point. So we're going to do 4 minus a negative 2. All right, so 8 minus 3 gives us 5, and 4 minus a negative 2, that is going to make a positive. So 4 plus 2 gives us 6. So our slope here is 5 over 6. We cannot reduce that, so it stays like that. The next one wants us to graph this line. So if we look here, our slope here is 2 over 5. So that means that our rise over our run is up 2 over 5. Then the next thing that we look for is the y-intercept, which is negative 1. So b equals negative 1. So m is 2 over 5. So, and then we begin at negative 1. So we find negative 1 on our y-axis. That's our y-intercept. And then we are going to rise 2, so 1, 2. And we're going to run 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. And this is what our line is going to look like. Okay, next. It says write the equation of lines. Okay, so if we're going to write the equation of this line, we're going to need 2 things. We're going to need m, the slope, and then we're going to need b, the y-intercept. Okay, and then we write it into our slope-intercept form, which is y equals m x plus b. Okay, so here our y-intercept we can see is negative 1. Our line passes through negative 1. So instead of plus b, it's going to be minus 1. And then our slope, we count the rise over run. So it rises 1, that's 1 unit, and then it runs 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is 4. So let's see, it's going to give us y equals, our m is 4 over 1 times x. Now 4 over 1 simplifies. It just simplifies to 4x minus 1. That's it. All right, the next one, standard slope intercept form. So here it says put the following equation of a line into slope intercept form, simplifying all the fractions. So in order for us to get this in slope intercept form, this is what slope intercept form looks like. Y equals mx plus b. We need to get the y by itself. So we're going to start off here by getting rid of this negative 2x by doing the opposite and adding 2x. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. And we get negative 4y equals. Now we cannot add 16 plus 2 because the 16 does not have an x. So we write it as 2x plus 16. Okay, then our next step here to get the y by itself is to get rid of this negative 4 by doing the opposite and dividing, okay, because it's being multiplied times the y. So then here, two negatives make a positive, the 4's cancel out, and we're left with y equals, and then we're going to divide 2 by 4. That gives us negative 1/2 x. 16 divided by negative 4 is going to give us negative 4. Okay, so this would be our equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, here, write an equation in slope-intercept form with the slope of negative 2,5 and passing through point 5,1. Okay, so once again, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And what they do give us is the m. The slope is negative 2 over 5. So instead of m, I'm going to go ahead and write negative 2 over 5. Okay. What they don't give us is the y-intercept. Okay. They don't give us what b is. So since they don't give us what b is, we're going to have to take this point that they give us and we're going to have to plug it in. So my y value here is 1. So instead of y, I'm going to put a 1. My x value here is 5, so instead of x, I'm going to put a 5. And then we are going to have to figure out what our y-intercept is. We're going to find out what b is. Okay, so we're going to multiply negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. So that gives us negative 10 over 5 plus b. Next, negative 10 divided by 5 gives us negative 2, so 1 equals negative 2 plus b. And then we have one more step to solve for b. We need to move this negative 2 to the other side by adding a positive 2. That's what's going to cancel it out. So 1 plus 2 gives us 3. That means 3 is equal to b. So now we are ready to write it in slope-intercept form. Y equals, our m is negative 2 over 5x, and our b is a positive 3, so we write it as plus 3. And that is your slope-intercept form. All right, I believe this is the last example. It says line equations from point. So it says write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So again, they want us to write in the form of y equals mx plus b. But this time they don't give us the slope and they don't give us the y-intercept, but they do give us these 2 points. So by 2 points, and the very first example, I believe, or the second one, we have what we call the slope formula, this one right here, where we subtract our y values on the top and we subtract our x values on the bottom, and that's going to give us the slope. So let's go ahead and look on here. So we are going to subtract our y values on the top, remember starting with the second point. So it'll be 7 minus a negative 6 divided by, and then, sorry, I covered the number. On this one, our y value is 4. So our x value is 4 minus 2. All right, so now that we set this up, we're going to go ahead and solve for it. 7 minus negative 6, that turns into a positive, and that's going to give us 13. Divided by 4 minus 2 gives us 2. Now this we cannot simplify, so it's going to have to stay like that. It's not a pretty number. Okay, so now we know what m is. So m is 13 over 2. But we still don't know what the y-intercept is, so that's why we have to figure out what it is. So we can pick either one of these points to plug in. I am going to pick this one. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm just picking 2, negative 6 to plug in. So instead of y, we're putting a negative 6 equals 13 over 2. And then instead of x, we are going to put 2. And then plus b. We're ready to solve for b. So here, 13 times 2 gives us 26. So negative 6 equals 26 divided by 2 plus b. Now 26 divided by 2 is 13, so we have negative 6 equals 13 plus b. And our last step to solve for b is to subtract the 13. This cancels. Negative 6 minus 13 is negative 19 equals b. Okay. So now we're ready to write our equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals, our slope is 13 over 2x, and then our b is negative, so it's going to be minus 19. And that's it. So let's go ahead and look at your assignment real quick on Delta Math, because there's some parts that are interactive. So here we have find the slope graphically. So if we look here, it says draw a line representing the rise and a line representing the run of the line. So what you have to do is you have to find here, we find 2 points just like we did on the example. So you have to put a point there. With your mouse, you click it, and then you're going to go up, and that would be the rise, okay? Then from here, you need to draw the run. So the run is across, so I click a point and I click the other point, and now I've shown my rise over run on my graph. Then from there, I go ahead and type in what my slope is. It rises 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it runs 2. So I'm going to write it as 5 over 2, and I submit my answer. And it says, are you sure? I click yes, and then you're done. Okay, so you do have to show it on the graph in order for your answer to be correct. And then the other one, I believe, graphing lines from equations. So here's another example. So it wants us to graph this line. So first we need to find the y-intercept, which is negative 3. So on your graph, you're going to find negative 3, and you click. Okay? And you are going to count a slope of 2x, or 2. So you're going to go up 2 and run 1. And then once you do that, you click your line, and it creates the line for you, and then you submit your answer. And I believe those are the 2 that are interactive. I just want to show you guys how to use that. And that's it. Thank you.